What's up, Indiana? Welcome to Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. The Colts finally in the losing skid. Should we be concerned about our Indiana Pacers? The pulse of college football is right here in the great state of Indiana. We have so much to talk about today. Packed show. Thanks for joining me. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation, let's go. Good afternoon and welcome in, everybody. Big Mike here, coming to you live from the great city of Indianapolis, as I do each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy Blue Friday to you. Hope your week has been as good as mine. You scratch that. I hope yours has been better. Mine was kind of crappy, actually. That's another story for another time. Anyway, bad jokes aside, appreciate you joining. We got a packed show today, folks. Can't wait. I am excited. This is being a fan of Indiana sports right now is fantastic. We're talking some Colts, finally getting off the losing skid there. Talk some Pacers, might have some concerns about that. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to get into the back end. It's going to be a lot of college because we'll get our Purdue update in as usual, but two big college football games here that us folks here in the great state of Indiana are looking forward to. We'll talk Notre Dame Army, and then the last part of the show will be featuring a special guest to break down IU versus Ohio State. Biggest game, I would say, in the history of Indiana Hoosiers football. What a time to be alive to say that, right? Before we get into that, we're going to give some love to our amazing sponsors, Planet Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Appreciate y'all tuning in again. Stay tuned. Hang in there. Like I said, we're going to get some bills paid. And come on back, and we'll hit the Pacers and the Colts on the other side. Once again, Big Mike here, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at @sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Once again, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join. If you're watching on YouTube or any of our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Twitter, you name it, hit me up on the hit me up in the comments. I keep them sports, keep them PG. Say it every week. Going to keep saying it. If you're on the old X or Twitter, whatever you're referring to it, you can, if you'd be so kind to hit the old follow button. I'm at Indy Sports _IESR, or you can follow me at my personal account, which is at the Chill Mike. So we got a lot to get into today, and for a few comments coming in, much appreciated. Boy Ralph over in does our Pittsburgh show, and Daryl from the Extra Mile stopping by to say hello. Appreciate you all tuning in. They all do great work. And I encourage you guys on every show I talk to, or I'm on, I believe, just hit us up at iesportsradio.com and check out some of our amazing guests, other amazing hosts from different markets that we cover. Just a great group of people. But anyway, diving into the sports here. The Pacers are. We'll start with them. Let's get the kind of the negative out of the way, I suppose. This has not been the start to the season that we had hoped. Obviously, injuries have played a part in this. I mentioned a few weeks back with Wiseman and Jackson, our two bigs off the bench, are done for the year. Now you got Neesmith and Nebhard, two starters who are going to be out for another few more weeks. It's forced Rick Carlisle to have to change some things up in the rotation, and it's not been going great. And I can pretty much put a finger on the reason why. And I've said it every show. As Tyrese Halliburton goes, so do the Indiana Pacers. That's just how it is. Now, we've seen some great play from Pascal Siakam. He's been the most constant all season up to this point in his first 15 games. Matherin's been there too, although he did have an off night the other night in Houston. That was just an off night. That was just gross. And we had another gross one against Toronto. So you're seeing these constant, just bad performances. And you look back and you start looking through this box score here, and you're like, how Tyrese Halliburton only scores 4 points? I believe this was his third game already this season where he's been in single digits. And initially, early to start, he was getting his, 17, 20 points, whatever. His assists were way down, so he wasn't orchestrating well. Then he started to orchestrate a little better. They got a couple wins, and now it's back to he'll get, I think he had 8 assists the other night, and he'll get those, half of those in one quarter, and then he's a ghost for the rest of the game. So what I would pose to you, people who are listening, whether it's live or on the replay, again, greatly appreciate it. Are we concerned? I mean, I should maybe rephrase it by this. Are we a little concerned? A lot concerned, as in like, hey, this is like a 3-alarm fire going here, or hey, Mike, chill out. It's early. I'm of the thought process, I'm a little concerned. I just don't like what I'm seeing from him right now. Look, there's speculation going around rampant, right? We're hearing things such as, well, he's hurt and he's covering up an injury. That seems to probably hold the most water to me, just because when you see him taking a breather out of the game for a minute, he's throwing that ice pack right on his back immediately. And it's no secret he's had back issues. That lends some validity there. Or is it, I've heard other arguments saying, well, it's the different rotations, it's the flow. I'm sorry. I'm not going to buy into that one. I think that's maybe some people sticking up for him a little bit. You're a max contract guy. I mean, you are the cornerstone of you are the franchise at this point. If you're hurt, you're hurt. Maybe you should go rest up and stay out a few games. I mean, right now, TJ McConnell's a great guy. I love TJ McConnell. He comes off the bench. That dude's so scrappy, but at this point, he's producing better than Halliburton. I'd almost say, hey, maybe you should sit for a game or two and see, or something. I don't know. obviously I'm not in the locker room. I'm not, or anything like that. But until that part gets addressed and see what's going on, I'm going to be a little bit concerned. I've seen some have said maybe it's still a little bit of a prima donna in him. He's getting the glory, the spotlight. He's getting all this love and attention. I don't know the guy. Look, I don't think that's it. He's always been kind of this, big smile on his face kind of guy. He was like that last year. You see him a lot around the city last year as well. So I don't really buy into that. I just think there's just something wrong, whether it's confidence or it's a legit injury there. They're trying to mask it. I don't know. But anyway, right now they're 6-9, and currently it would be in a play-in game. Again, it's early. The beautiful thing about it right now is the East is awful. I mean, outside of the Cavs and the Celtics, the Knicks are starting to turn it around a little bit, which is to no surprise. And I would say Orlando's, I put Orlando there too. They're pretty solid. But other than that, it's not great. I mean, I think right now that I'm looking at it, they're legit like one game out of the 5 seed. So that's why there's no reason to have a 3 or 4 alarm fire going here, because why? There's so much there, and we've seen teams go on runs late in the season. But again, it's only November, so mild concern. But they got to get better play from the guys who are given some chances now, right? I mean, Jarris Walker a few weeks ago, I was actually at this game, playing here against Orlando. He comes up 7 for 7, was just awesome that night. Awesome. It was like, wow, that's the guy I want to see. He hasn't really done much since. He's been shooting like 30%. Not ideal. So they need more from guys like him. They need more from Miles. I mean, just the other night, I think Miles only had like 10 points. So you need more from your stars. And appreciate y'all commenting. Taryn, a SoCal guy, volleyball guru. Thanks for checking in, buddy. Much appreciated. Yes, I'm just reading some comments here. Charlie, my boy Charlie, was talking about Purdue playing football. Yikes, no one wants to watch that. Daryl chiming in about the Pacers disappointing start, no doubt about it. It makes a good point too about the media and how they act towards injuries and players less likely to rest. Not wrong. definitely not wrong there. But we'll see. They're back Milwaukee tonight. Milwaukee's not necessarily scaring anybody at this point. Kind of rekindle that rivalry from last year. Both teams are 6-9 right now. But then we'll see if they can maybe snap out of it. This would be a nice way to do it. Get a little more gasoline back on that fire. That's at Milwaukee, so keep an eye on that. Do a recap on that next week. But with that, I want to go ahead and move on to the Colts. I've been going on rants about them for it feels like forever. We all know about the quarterback issue and how the Colts really, to me, just kind of mismanaged that whole thing. The organization's got some egg on their face in my eyes, but it doesn't matter. I passed it. I'm kind of sick of talking about it. But the free AR5 hashtag movement has worked, or he's off his suspension, whatever you wanted to call it. Came back against the Jets and had his best game as a professional. I liked what I saw from him. I mean, he did have the fumble, but I'm not putting that on him because look, that was a game where the Colts were playing with 3 rookies on the O-line. Jets, as much as they've been a cluster, put it nicely, I guess, their D-line's still good, and they were crushing our O-line. We were just getting rolled. And, that momentum shift happened at the end of the first half there with, a little lapse in defense. And, defense didn't have their best game, but as I've mentioned, and we mentioned last week when I had my buddy Zach from the Blue Stable on, the defense have been playing well to win games and create some turnovers, and it was just the offense that was not doing their job. And this time the offense actually did their job, and that was an Anthony Richardson deal. I mean, 20 of 30, 272 and a tud, ran for two touchdowns. They held Jets held JT to only 57 yards, 24 carries too. But that was and I know some are already saying, "Oh, that's Richardson's coming out party. That's it. We're turning the page." I'm gonna tell you right now, Colts fans, there was no one happier than I was to see and watch it, see that game he had. I was thrilled. I loved it. But I'm still telling you, this is going to be a project. This is going to be, he still needs some work, and there's going to be days where he hopefully has games like that, and other ones he doesn't. And it'll be up to the rest of the players on the team to, if he's not, to help him out, step it up a bit. They got a little scary there in the fourth, just to get that field goal to take the lead, and that here's the Colts with the ball, a little less than 3 minutes to go, and Anthony Richardson leads the team down for a game-winning touchdown. I think that's going to do amazing things for his confidence going forward. I mean, talk about, when you pretty much get shoved to the bench, I can imagine the ego, that bruised ego that would have had, or that was for him, right? And to be able to come back and do what he did and get that comeback, get that win on the road, which the Colts needed. If they have any chance of somehow getting that wild card, they have to beat the conference opponents. They just absolutely have to. Our boy got a boy from our Michigan show talking about the Lions coming in and taking over on Sunday. So let's talk about that game. Boy, that's a tough matchup for the Colts. I'm just going to be honest about it. Colts fans, look, Detroit is and good for Detroit. I mean, they've been in the basement of the league for a long, long time. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, not necessarily last year. They were solid last year. I mean, obviously they're great this year. Don't get me wrong, but just in the grand scheme of things, it's been tough being a Lions fan. But now they are just on all cylinders doing. I mean, they're just so high octane and so efficient offensively. The defense is going to have their hands full, no doubt about it. To me, some keys to the game here. The defense has to find a way to get a couple turnovers. You got to hope that Goff kind of has a Houston-like performance. I don't see that happening. But if you can force a couple turnovers, obviously offense got to get touchdowns. You can't be settling for 3 points. AR is going to have a game like he did last week. And in fact, I might say he needs to have a better game than he had last week. Because quite frankly, to be honest with you, I think the only way the Colts can win this game is they can't turn the ball over. They got to keep drives going. They got to win third downs. Keep it third and manageable. It's the old story. You got to keep Detroit's offense off the field. Detroit's got some injuries defensively, although they're still solid. So this is nothing to sneeze at. But you're going to have to take some advantage of some matchups you may have in the secondary, even though Detroit's secondary is vastly improved. But to me, that's about the only way the Colts pull this thing out, and they're going to have to score a lot of points and just hope that maybe they have the ball at the end. If they can't do that, they can't extend drives. They don't take care of the ball. It could be a very long day in Lucas Oil. But here's a good thing: if you're from a Colts perspective, from us Colts fans, this isn't a deal breaker if you do lose. It's like, yeah, I kind of put you, you're 5-7. That's not great. But as I've mentioned for the past several weeks, you're gonna have the Patriots coming up. I know it's on the road, but it's winnable. You get a bye. At Denver is going to be the game of the year because that very well would determine the 7th seed at this point. Although Denver's playing some really good football right now, so you hope they're only about a game ahead of you at that point. And then you're going to end up with the Titans at home, Jags at home, and on the road to the Giants. And we all know what happened with the Giants today. So plenty of opportunity there. They just, even if they lose on Sunday, it won't matter in the great scheme of things, I don't think. Obviously, you want to win. I mean, come out 6-6 would be amazing. But it's going to take one heck of an effort, no doubt about it. So, on that note, we're going to take a break here. I want to cover. I want to get into Purdue and Notre Dame on the other side, and then after that, we're going to have our special guest in to talk IU versus Ohio State to take us home here. So. Once again, Big Mike here, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we will be right back.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Once again, appreciate the comments. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you so much. Episode 9 of Indy Sports Nation, if you can believe that. Man, this has been crazy. And once again, thanks to the IE Sports Radio family for allowing me to do this with you all each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's dive in. Get a little Purdue talk here. Football team remains awful, to the surprise of no one. Season's almost over, y'all. That's really all we got to say about it, right? Going into Michigan State this weekend. And by the way, it was Penn State last weekend. They lost like 100-10 or something. Not even worth talking about. But no, they're heading into Michigan State this weekend. And this is a game that I think, honestly, they're not going to win. But they're deep. Michigan State turns the ball over like crazy. So I think that could be the opportunity to where maybe, just maybe, something could come of it. I'm not really expecting it, but it's just what it is. I mean, Michigan, like I said, Michigan State turns the ball over. It could be something to where Purdue's able to take advantage of it and get some points on the board, but the offense just remains just atrociously bad. And so I expect nothing to change here. So there's nothing else to really talk about. So when it comes to Purdue football, I hate to say it, but we'll go to the women here real quick with regards to volleyball. Tough one against Penn State last night. You knew that was going to be a tough one. They continue to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And I mentioned last week, they've got you got a player of the year, Ava Hudson on the watch list there. It feels like maybe on the right side, they're missing that one player. I'm not sure. They're just, they're having a hard time getting over that hump of, the Penn States and the Wisconsins of the world. They're almost got with Nebraska earlier in the year, just about. So it feels like they're just on the fringe. They're just missing that one extra thing there to get them over the top. But still plenty of volleyball left. So I expect this team to still compete at a high level like they have been doing. It's just a Big Ten. It's a juggernaut, man. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Penn State, they're all just fantastic teams. So I'm not mad. You're hoping to see one of these games they actually do kind of, get over the hump. But these women, they'll keep battling, keep doing what they do. So wanted to hit the men's hoops real quick before we jump into Notre Dame. Purdue men I was talking about last week how amped I was to watch them play Alabama. And I hope some of you got to watch that, even if you're not Purdue fans. Mackey Arena, holy crap, was that loud. I believe they posted on their social media. I want to say there was just under like 130 decibels once Cox hit that last three. It was insanity. I mean, I don't want to say that's the loudest I've ever heard it, but man, it had to be up there. Big win against number 2 ranked at the time, Alabama. Loved what I saw. I said Kaufman-Wren had to have a game, and he had a game. Obviously, the guards have to have a game because it all orchestrates to Braden Smith, and Lawyer is like Robin, I guess in that case, for lack of a better phrase. We'll try to pull up some quick stats, but I don't think we have time. But an overall gutty performance from Purdue in that game, and unfortunately, going from Purdue having a home game against Bama, having to travel to Marquette on a Tuesday night, and that one did not go so well. Charlie, my buddy Charlie's commented how he was at that game and how crazy it was. Man, I'm kind of jealous you were there, buddy. I really am. But then they go to Marquette, and unfortunately, that one did not go so well. They, 18-point loss, I believe, by the end of it. Marquette had around double-digit lead, around 10 points or so for a good chunk of the game. Folks, Marquette's a good team. They just are. They will contend for the Big East. I don't know they're going to beat UConn per se, but they're going to be at tops of the Big East. That team, they are a gritty team that plays very, very good defense, and that showed. So to me, that was a credit to Marquette. I mean, did Purdue play well? No, they didn't shoot well. They were sloppy with the ball. And with this style of offense now that Purdue is bringing this year, that really can't happen. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on their guards. Not that I think their guards can't handle it. I actually think they can, and I think they will. But this loss to me, actually, I know this is going to sound nuts to hear it. I think it's a good thing. I'm almost kind of glad in a way. Wait a minute, Mike. What does that mean? If you follow Purdue basketball the past several years, they always come out firing. They come out and they have a tough, schedule to start the season. Past few years ago, they beat Gonzaga, they beat Arizona, they beat Tennessee. They beat all these top 10 ranked teams early on. And then you get into the later part of conference play, and you see them kind of start to plateau a little bit. Last year was a bit of an exception because obviously they were in a national championship game. But even then, they still had a little bit of a plateau, not as bad as years before. Where it got to the point, I guess what I'm saying is by February, they were playing their best, or they had already played their best basketball. Again, take last year out of the equation. But years prior, that was what was going on. But now I see this loss, and it's like, okay, you can watch the film, you can see what you need to do, what you need to adjust. And this way, maybe you're a stride come late January and into February. And that's when you want to be playing your best basketball. You really don't need to want to be necessarily playing it November, December. Granted, not that you want to lose. So I actually think this loss could be a good thing for Purdue basketball. They're back out this weekend. I believe I can't remember, it's a smaller D1 school they're playing, but we'll touch more on that next week. I expect they'll bounce back, and then you get into your preseason tournament play after that. So I do want to hit the Irish before we close the show with IU and Ohio State. Man, oh man, the Irish with another whooping. Get to the banner here real quick. Another whooping of Virginia. 35-14, just a beat down. That second touchdown from Virginia came late in the game. I mean, it was during garbage time. Notre Dame defense forced 5 turnovers again. Getting some quick stats here from the game. Rodney Leonard again keeps improving week by week. Did have a pick, but 22, 33, 214, 3 tuds. Jeremiah Love, my word, 16 carries, 137, 8.6 average, 2 touchdowns, 8.6 average. And again, back to that defense. Forced another game, forcing a ton of turnovers. 3 interceptions, and he had a fumbled kickoff, and I think a punt, if I'm not mistaken. It was 28-0 at half. This game wasn't close. Notre Dame is they're playing very well right now. I like what I'm seeing. They're flying to the ball, playing free. Leonard just keeps improving week by week. Really like what I'm seeing there. Before I touch on the Army game, that's the other big game this weekend. I wanted to touch on the women's hoops, because they've just continued to dominate. As I expected, they've not really had competition until this weekend. You see, I've listed it there. They're going to be playing at USC. And USC is ranked number 6. Obviously, Juju Watkins is insane. So it'll be interesting with Hidalgo and Miles, and see how that works out from a defensive strategy standpoint, and just see if they're able to keep her, again, contained. 4 o'clock, I believe, is the tip on, I believe it's on NBC/Peacock. That might be some must-watch television. That's going to be, that's the game of the weekend in women's hoops in my eyes. So I plan on trying to tune into that. Hopefully I can. But I wanted to give them their love, because right now Irish women they're just looking fantastic. But a good test for them coming up early in the season. So, but going back to Notre Dame, against Army this weekend, Army's undefeated. I mean, that's a great story for Army. It really, really is. They've not. Again, you can argue strength of schedule, and that's all fine and well. I mean, it's Army, for crying out loud. But strength versus strength there I see. I mean, Army, obviously, that's that triple option. That's what they do. It makes it hard to game plan for. But that, against Notre Dame's defense, they've not seen a team like Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame's defense, they fly to the ball, and they hit you. There's no yards after contact with you at this point with Notre Dame. Do I expect to see them get 6 turnovers like they did versus Navy? Absolutely not. Army does a much better job of taking care of the ball. Army is a better team than Navy this year. That may not matter come rivalry, come the Army-Navy game. We'll see. But with that being said, I think the spread's back around 14, and that's probably where I think it'll be. I think Army maybe, they're going to be amped. I mean, 10-0. This is almost like a national championship game for them. So I expect they'll come in amped, playing hard, playing quick. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be too much Irish. They're just, right now they're playing a really quality level of football here. So with that said, we're going to get our last break in here, and then we will be joined by a special guest where we will have some very friendly banter from regarding RU and Ohio State. I cannot wait for that. So hang in there. Again, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you all so much. Get to a few videos here. All right. One last break, and it's all IU Ohio State on the other side. Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen D, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you joining. Get the old collar switched here real fast, and we'll bring in our special guest who is patiently waiting. And I'm looking forward. It's going to be fun, a very fun conversation, I think. I still can't believe here we are, IU and Ohio State. It just number 5 Indiana, number 2 Ohio State. But anyway, let's bring in my special guest, my good friend Heather from Bougie Sports from the state of OH.
I-O, baby.
Big Mike with the lob, and Heather slams it home. Heather, how the heck are you?
I am great. I am nervous about tomorrow, but I'm really excited to be here and talk about this with you. So thank you.
Thank you for making the time to come on. Greatly appreciate it. So first question for you is, I want you to tell the people why the Buckeyes are going to lose by 4 touchdowns.
All I know is I want what air you're breathing over there in Indiana because
no, you know what? That's not going to happen. We know that. Silly me here's got to make my dumb dad jokes. But if that were to happen, there's no way. And you know what? That Ryan Day makes it out of Columbus alive.
No. He's getting fired in the locker room. Actually, he's getting fired in the tunnel.
He's in the tunnel
on the way to the locker room.
Yeah, and there's everybody waiting with torches and pitchforks outside of the horseshoe.
Right.
Yeah, look, obviously that's not going to take place. I'm excited for this game. You and I have been talking about this game for a bit.
Yeah.
Never thought, the fans here in Indiana are just excited because this is new, and to go in to have to go to the horseshoe to the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes to potentially go to a Big Ten championship game. Like, what is happening?
Magic. It's magical.
Yeah. But jokes aside, give me a couple things from the Ohio State perspective that you like about this matchup that you think will be favorable for Ohio State. And then maybe a couple things from the flip side of it going, IU could present a problem here and here.
So I think the first thing that I want to say is that what I'm going to say is actually favorable for Ohio State, but it's also favorable for Indiana. And I think it's the implications of this game. It really means something different to each team. So I think Indiana is going into this with the look at us. Everyone is doubting us. No one thought that we would be here. No one thought that they would be here. And even Indiana fans, I don't think really truly thought that they would be in this position in the college football playoff hunt. And so Indiana is going in there with that, proverbial chip on their shoulder where no one is giving us any credit. No one thinks that we can do this. So they're going to go in and they're going to be free because if they win, they're in. If they lose, they're in. I really, truly think that no matter what happens, Indiana is in the playoffs. So they have a little bit less pressure, I think, than Ohio State. And Ohio State goes in with that pressure of, okay, Ryan Day he has an abysmal record against top 10 matchups, let alone top 5 matchups. And he's going in with something to prove. And these players are going in because they love their coach. So they're going in with something to prove. So I think that each team has that motivation that is really intense. And I think that favors both teams. I think that Ohio State's favorable on their wide receivers. Their offense is just, I think, a little bit more powerful than what Indiana has seen this year. So I think that's where Ohio State has an edge. And I think that Indiana's front line, they have 31 sacks. They lead the Big Ten. They are going to put pressure on Will Howard all day. And I really think that if Indiana plays mistake-free and that line does what they do, they're really going to disrupt that running game for us. So
how worried are you about the Ohio State line?
That's like asking this season. Honestly, it's like asking if you need air to breathe this season, right. Because that's been a focus all year. We've really only seen 2 games this year where the Ohio State offensive line has played well. It was at Penn State, and then they played well against Northwestern. So it's even worse now. Seth McLaughlin, he tore his Achilles, so he's out. We're down our right guard. And it's just, we lost Josh Simmons. I'm sorry, our left guard, we lost Josh Simmons. So our line has been just a constant rotation. And then for Seth to go down on a Wednesday before arguably the biggest game of the year, that's very concerning. It's very concerning. But Ohio State does have that next man up mentality. So we do have a center that we can slide over. I think he's been playing right guard, and he started all 12 games last year at center. So we do have someone that can slide in that does know the position,
which helps. And I mean, obviously, it's no joke. I mean, Ohio State's deep, and they have been for as long as I can remember. Did you realize that Ohio State has won 29 straight against IU?
Yeah, I actually did read that stat. That's an unfair stat in a sense, though, because really in 29 years, honestly, and I'm not being facetious, have you seen this level of talent in recent memory? I mean, they're pretty loaded. Their offense is pretty loaded, and their defense is matching. So it's kind of an unfair stat in a sense because Indiana has never been a powerhouse.
Correct.
So let's see if we can lucky number 30.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it going, man, all streaks have to come to an end at some point.
They do. All records are broken. Everything.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
From a Ohio State, I mean, this is going to be the best defense that Indiana has seen.
It is.
And I'm thoroughly impressed with Ohio State's front seven.
Yep.
I think there could be some opportunities in the secondary for IU to take advantage of, assuming that the Indiana O-line has done what it's done most of the season and protect work. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that? Any worries maybe from the Ohio State secondary standpoint?
Yeah, Denzel Burke he's a worry. He's been a worry this year. I'm not sure what happened where the regression has happened, but he's not been playing well. Igbinosun Iggy, because that's a mouthful to say. Davison Igbinosun has been puzzling this year to me because he will go and he will make the most head-scratching pass interference play. I'm like, why did you do that? But then the very next play, he'll get like this crazy circus catch interception. He did it against Penn State. He actually did it against Northwestern. Yeah. He has these lapses, but again, they are human and they're not going to play their position perfectly. So if Igbinosun plays, at that second, that mistake-free, that second level, I think that will be okay. I think that Sawyer and JT Tuimolo are playing elite right now. And Tyleik Williams is back. He's healthy. So that front seven, I'm not sure. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how Jim Knowles plays them. Are we going to put pressure on them immediately? Are we going to blitz? Or are we going to play back? Are we going to let Caleb Downs, are we going to let him be kind of a DB and not a safety? What position is Downs going to play? Because he's the key. He's absolutely the key, I think, to this game. Because if you play him in a defensive back in a secondary position, which he can play, or do you play him in that strong safety, that nickel safety? Where are they? Because he is so versatile. So how are they going to play him? Are they going to wild card him? That's going to be. I think Caleb Downs is going to be really a key to this, because if we start getting torched in the secondary, do we bring Caleb Downs back?
Yep. No, that's a great point, and I agree 100%. You and I were talking earlier, and I mentioned the saying, hard work always beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, but I would amend that to say smart.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that just with the players either. I mean that with the coaching staff.
Right. Obviously,
because we got two really good coaches, two really good staffs, and there's going to have to be adjustments made. We believe, because I do think this game is close. And so adjustments are going to have to be made, and so from the coaching's perspective, and then obviously the players from a discipline perspective. So I think things like that are going to be huge.
Right. Is the moment going to be too big for some of the Indiana players? Because, like it or not, they've never been in this position, where Ohio State players have, year in and year out, they're in these games, they're in these intensive, pressure cooker situations where all eyes are on you. Everyone is talking about you, and every single solitary move you make is scrutinized. So, is Indiana, is that going to be too much for them? I don't think it will be. I think the coaches are going to do a pretty good job of insulating them, but it is going to be a hostile environment at the shoe.
Yeah, it's going to be a very hostile environment. It's just still, we've talked about this too. The fact this game is at noon is insane.
Yeah, It just makes no sense. Fox needs they need to ride the coattails of an Ohio State Indiana matchup. Yeah.
I tell people here, it's like love or hate Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State's who they are.
Oh, and they bring the ratings in. I mean,
they
bring
do.
ratings in, and we travel.
Oh, you travel.
Money and we travel.
You do. I mean, you're one of the best in the country, if not the best.
Yeah.
When it comes to travel, so it's impressive. Give me before we get into a little bit of fun here. Give me maybe another player, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, even could be an X factor for the Buckeyes that maybe Hoosier fans should be worried about if so and so is doing well.
Two players, and I think that one of them is probably, I don't know, maybe a little bit obvious. Quinshon Judkins. I think that he's been the best back that we've had. Travion Henderson is very, very good. Do not get me wrong. I do not want to, but Quinshon has been such an amazing complement and an addition to that running back core that I think it's made Travion a little bit better. So I think Quinshon, we need to see him have a breakout game. We need to see him have 100+ yards, I think, going. And believe it or not, I think that Carnell Tate in our wide receiver, I think he's going to be the one, because I think that all the attention is going to be on, Jeremiah. How can you not? But then Emeka Egbuka, who has actually been relatively quiet this year, but he's got that explosive potential. So I think that Carnell and Judkins are going to be key on offense for us. I think Will Howard is what he is. He's not going to put up 500 yards a game, but he's going to be relatively mistake free, and he's going to be composed. So I think that those two on offense, and then again, I think that aside from Caleb Downs, I think that Jack Sawyer, he's going to be he's had a coming out party the last couple of games. So I look for him to have a couple of solo tackles for losses, and maybe a sack or two.
Perfect. I'm gonna throw a few from the IU side perspective. I'm gonna say Kamara, because obviously he's leading the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. So good.
And if he's disrupting Howard, then I think I could obviously be a plus for IU. Even though Howard can run with he can run.
He can run, right? He's got good legs. Yeah.
So I think from a defensive standpoint, for IU, he's got to play well. And I think on the offensive side, everybody's going to say Surratt, because he's the kind of big play wide receiver for the Hoosiers. I'm a little bit biased in saying this, but at the same time, I'm not. I'm saying X factor Omar Cooper Jr. Now, I'm a little biased because he's a local product here in Indianapolis. But that, to me, if he's getting a lot of catches, that means he's extending drives.
Right.
And he can he gets in the end zone. He's number 2 on the team in that regard.
Well, don't you think the secondary players are the ones that make the biggest differences? Because your primary players are going to make their big plays no matter what. Correct. No matter who you put on them, they're going to make their big plays.
Correct.
But it's those secondary players, I think, that really make the difference in the game. When you're down, all the attention is on that primary player. But you have those secondary receivers and running backs. That's where boys become men.
Exactly right. Well, I know you're excited about the game. I'm excited to watch the game. I think it's going to be always a great atmosphere in Columbus. Can't deny that at all.
Yeah.
All right. So give me your let's have a little bit of fun here. So before I ask you your prediction, are you going to be in Columbus for the game? Or are you getting together with friends to watch? What are y'all doing?
No, I actually will not. Yes, I will be. I will not be at the stadium. I will not watch. Okay. Little fun fact about me is I get wrecked. And I don't mean drunk. I mean like it's water. I mean like mentally wrecked. So I do not do well watching games like this with other people. So I will not watch this game or the Michigan game with anybody else. I will sit in my living room and I will watch. Maybe I'll go down, afterwards and do something, but no, I'm not going to watch this game with anybody. Not going to watch it with anyone.
Fair enough. I'll be watching with my, at least for the first half, be watching with my dad and my daughter. So it should be a good time. And in the comments, my daughter says, hello, Queen Heather.
Hello, Mike's daughter. Hello, Queen daughter.
So give me your prediction.
So actually I did a little bit of after last discussion, I went back and I'm going to adjust my prediction a little bit.
Here it goes. Okay.
And I think that I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to go with a 24-20 Ohio State victory.
A little lower scoring.
Yeah. I still think it's going to be a defensive game, to be honest with you. It's going to be a little bit colder. It's going to be, Big Ten football. I don't know if it's going to be windy. I didn't see, but it's not going to be perfect weather conditions. I do think it's going to be a defensive game. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring. So I'm going to go 24-20.
24-20. All right. I like that because, from a Hoosiers perspective too, if it's a loss for the Hoosiers, it needs to be close.
Oh, that's right. That's a signature loss in a sense, right? That's. The
last thing IU wants is to go in there and get rolled.
Well, you don't want to get waxed. You don't want to get mollywopped.
Because at that point, that might cost them a playoff spot potentially.
Yeah, it might. It shouldn't, but it might.
Shouldn't, but we all know what happens when.
I agree.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of bias. Yeah,
it absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give my prediction that I want to share the little bet you and I have.
Yes.
And then give you some time to promote you a little bit.
Yeah.
So just for Indy Sports Nation, we give you my prediction real quick. I'm sticking with it. I've said that I think Ohio State will come out, probably get a little bit of a lead, but not be able to put IU away. And I think it's going to be a little higher scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the second half they're going to be blow for blow, man, just punch, and last team has the ball, very well could win the game, and my prediction is that the IU is going to walk off with a field goal with no time left. 34-31. I'm going to stick with that. We'll see, man. It's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. So, you want me to share the bet, or do you want to share the bet?
No, go ahead. You can do the honors because this is going to be a tough one for either of us. Whoever loses this bet, it's going to be tough.
It is. So everybody who's listening at live or watching the replay, we appreciate it nonetheless. But the bet is the loser has to go on the other one's show, donning the gear and singing the fight song. So in other words, if IU loses, Big Mike here will be heading on the Heather show and wearing Ohio State gear and singing the part of a snippet of the Ohio State fight song.
Yes.
However,
so if Ohio State loses, we have to decide, will I come back on your show or will you come do it on my show, or will we do both? But
we might do both.
We could do both. We could humiliate ourselves on both shows.
Right.
And I will be donning some Indiana gear and I will be singing a snippet of your fight song. So It is double humiliation. So whoever loses, we are not going to have a good time.
Yeah. And don't worry, we'll let everybody know plenty of time when that day happens.
Yes. Yeah.
It may not be next week because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, if you can believe that. So which is unbelievable.
I know. It's the end of it's rivalry week, and say that it's rivalry week. It's
rivalry week.
I am like, no, I'm not ready for football to be over.
I know, right? It happens so fast. It's crazy.
It does.
Heather, before we let you run, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, so you can follow me on X. I am at Love Buckeyes, LUV Buckeyes. And I have a weekly show that you could check out. Mike, he was just on my show. I do it every Friday, usually around the 3 or 4 o'clock slot. So you can check us out on Bougie Sports, BOUGIE Sports on YouTube, and bougiesports.net. So you can see all of the things our girl gang does. And again, it's College Football with Heather on X and YouTube every Friday. So thank you.
Of course. And everybody, they do a great job. Gotten to know these women for the past month or so now, and they do great work, and they all know their stuff, and they're very entertaining. So I would encourage everybody, when you get a second, to check them out.
Thank you.
So, Heather, it's been a blast. Thank you as always, and I'm sure we will be teasing the crap out of each other from about noon to 3 tomorrow.
We will. It'll be relentless. I look forward to it.
All right, Heather, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, bye, everyone.
All right, that's going to be a wrap for us here on Indy Sports Nation. Thank you so much for joining, and a quick shout out to all of you. I didn't really mention it, but your boy here, Big Mike, took another trip around the sun last weekend, and so many of you were kind enough to reach out via text, via Twitter, X, whatever, to give me those birthday wishes. So thank you so much for that. But thank you so much for joining. Appreciate Heather jumping on and diving into the game. We won't see you again or talk to you again until after Thanksgiving. I'll be back here next Friday, but Thanksgiving is here, so you'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Big Mike here, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great weekend, everybody.